Jess McDonald, we saw Quantum Break at our recent preview event in Sydney.
Yes.
What is Quantum Break? How do you actually play this game?
Alright, Quantum Break is essentially an action game. It's a shooter, but it is complicated by the fact that a huge focus of the game is on these powers and abilities you have, which are basically related to time manipulation, which is exactly the superhero shit that it sounds like.
Yeah, initially when it was first revealed, the trailers had this kind of like freeze time and walk through it thing, and we weren't really sure about what the gameplay actually was. But you know, being a Remedy game who are famous for Max Payne and Alan Wake, there was a lot of shooting, a lot of dodging, a lot of powers. So it's really what you'd expect from a Remedy game. So let's go through some of the powers. Jess.
Okay, the powers are really interesting, and what I liked, because we only played it for a couple of hours, but they gave us a lot.
I mean, this was the very beginning of the game, and they introduced them to you, like, very rapidly.
Yeah.
But even so, like, after the first 2 chapters, I knew there was more coming.
Yeah.
So that's a crazy, insane amount. So there are powers that let you, say, freeze enemies in a bubble and sort of stack bullets into the bubble, and then when it releases, it all comes out and kills them instantly.
And then there's powers that are just like, I don't want to get shot for a bunch of time, and you put a bubble around yourself.
Yeah, which is also really useful if you're getting enemies running up to you, because it pushes them away.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's probably the best one I use, which is one of the ones you get a little later, probably an hour and a half in, is it's like a massive force push, excuse the Star Wars reference, where it's like you can charge up basically like a force field that shoots in the direction of an enemy and knocks them back.
Oh, is this the one that explodes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And I also really love the force dash. So you can run into enemies and then sort of push them back and then aim, and it'll be slow motion for a little bit. Very max,
that gives you
a little bit,
time.
but yeah, a little bit of bullet time.
It still gives you a selection of guns, but that's not terribly innovative. This felt interesting because if you just look at the fact that it's you and 20 guys, you're quite outgunned and outmanned, and you're also not particularly powerful. You can't take a hell of a lot of shots before you go down. But you definitely felt like you had the edge, or at least I did, with these different powers. Like being able to dodge very quickly out of the way when you're in a really bad spot.
Yeah. I also found that I started playing this game as more of a traditional cover shooter, so I usually stay in the one place. But that was kind of like not fun, and also I would die a lot because the military guys would flank you very easily.
Right.
So I found it was way more effective to be aggressive with your powers, you know, like run to the fray, like charge through everyone and have them, you know, knocked off their feet. And that made it like more enjoyable.
Being able to double barrel a whole bunch of powers was great too.
Yeah.
Like being able to defend yourself with a bubble, charge up a massive thing to shoot an explosion in someone's direction and stop them from attacking you at the same time was a great way to deal with the massive grunts who hit you really fucking hard.
Yeah. Alright, so another big part of this game, is the story. So they're pitching this whole, it's a game, but it's a TV series, and when you play the game, it affects the TV series.
Yeah.
So how does this actually work, Jess?
I was explaining this to someone the other day about how you play for an hour and a half and then you sit there for 22 minutes and watch a show. But it actually relates to a decision you've just made as the villain, which is a 5-minute segment you play before the TV show episode comes on, which is a very significant decision you need to make that's going to affect the rest of the story.
Yeah.
And that's picked up in the live action, which is quite cool.
Yeah, I should mention that at the end of the first act we played, it's swapped over to so you play the antagonist.
Yeah.
And you make a choice, and so it just shows the repercussions of that.
Yeah.
So we picked different ones.
We did, and
So the situation was that a college had been the sort of location for a firefight, and the villain had to sort of decide how to deal with that incident.
And that there were all these witnesses, college students, some of whom had been like attacked and killed and stuff by the villain.
Yeah, the first option was kill all witnesses.
Yeah, that actually would have panned out better for the heroes because it makes the villains look like dicks.
Super evil, that's right.
Super evil. And obviously society wouldn't have been on their side, and they would have been exposed for everything they were doing because there were still witnesses out there who hadn't been killed. That's the one you chose.
That's the one I chose.
Because it's the best for the long game for the hero.
Yeah, because I was thinking about, you know, Jack Joyce, the protagonist, and sort of how he might, you know, win in the end.
Yes. So the one I chose, because I can't bring myself to
kill
off
all
the
children.
uni students, was having Paul Serene decide to start like a propaganda campaign, basically saying that all the crap that happened at the university was Jack Joyce's fault, our hero. And it frames him as this horrible dude. He becomes like outcasted, and it's a bad backlash for the heroes for the long term. But you don't get a bunch of people killed that get killed in Ed's version.
Yeah. So this actually it affected the next act in a bigger way than I expected it to. So there was a bit of puzzling, and sort of you saved someone from getting killed. And the person who I got in my act was completely different from yours. So
Because you
just
killed her off.
in the episode that follows that decision, there is a girl and there is an execution scene if you decide to kill everyone, and there is a PR sort of recording of a message. So she was absent from my game, and you could discover her body and kind of like, lament her death.
Oh my God.
And I got a completely different character who was helping me out. He was like a taxi driver, and it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So in my version, it's like, okay, like the good guys have taken a hit, but the girl is alive, and she helps you out through the next act 2. I was very surprised by how they're making the choice system work.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, originally hearing about it, it's like, even if I'm playing the villains, I want the heroes to win, but they've made it more complex than that, and I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Each option has really big pros and cons.
yeah.
So yeah, that's all for Quantum Break for this preview, but stay tuned to GameSpot, where we will have way more Quantum Break coverage very soon.